Hey there, I'm at Kapow with Rick McCallum, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about Star Wars, if I might, sir. First question is, where are you at with that TV series?
We're at a complicated impasse right now. We have 50 hours, 50 scripts, unbelievable, the most provocative, the most bold and daring material that we've ever done. The trouble is they're so complicated. Each hour has more visual effects and digital animation than any of the films that we've done. And right now we're just struggling to let, there's a massive shift in the television industry, cable and network and everything else, and we have to just figure out a way, find the way, which George is desperately trying to invest in, is to be able to do these at the cost of maybe $4 or $5 million an episode. That's our biggest challenge, that's our biggest problem. They're so big, they're so complicated, and we just don't have the technology now to do that. But wait, a couple of years, he will find a way, and once that happens, I'm sure he'll start back on them.
You let slip to my colleague that the working title was Underworld. Is that still the case?
He should not be. He's in Botswana now, working it for you. I hope. Well, what I said to him was that it takes place underneath the world in a planet. So I guess technically he's right. He could say it's a thing. That's not the working title. That's just there was an idea. These are the guys that are in Coruscant, and it's underneath the planet that's taking this story's taking place. Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. It's a fascinating look on all the characters that exist between Episode 3 and Episode 4 during that 20-year period when Luke is growing up, which Luke is not a part of. So hopefully one day that'll come, we'll be able to find a way to actually make it. But right now, I mean, seriously, each episode is so big, and to have two of them, which would be the equivalent of a film, we just couldn't possibly afford to do right now.
The Harry Potter theme park opened up last year and hugely successful. When are we going to get a Star Wars theme park?
I'd have to talk to Disney about that. There's always been talk about Star Wars having its own gate, but the Indiana Jones ride and the Star Wars tours, now that it's been revamped, is hugely successful. I think that's enough. I think it's really tough to put a lot of onus on one or two films to create a whole world about. But I wish nothing but the greatest success. I loved Leavesden. We were the very first people to ever shoot there, and it was a fantastic experience for us. So I'm actually looking forward to actually taking my kids there too.
And one last thing, Joe Johnston mentioned last year that he spent years trying to convince George to let him make a Boba Fett movie. Where is he with trying to convince George?
He's going to spend years ahead, still waiting for the same thing.
So is that a possibility ever?
With George, you never can say never. But right now, I don't see that in the distant future. I mean, I see that maybe in the distant future, but not in the near future. That's, I think, George is at a critical juncture in his life. He's made a movie that has huge impact on the African American community. I think he likes that, and I think he's got a lot of different kinds of films that he wants to set out and do. So I think this year is going to be his time to figure out what he wants to do. But I think not that he would let Star Wars go or anything like that. I think he needs time to figure out what his plans are going to be.
Well, that was going to be my last question. Do you know when George is going to direct another movie?
I don't, and I think that's really what this year is about for him in the next year or 2 years, where he just figures out. He's got a lot of projects, a lot of things he's dealing with in terms of Industrial Light and Magic, his television series Clone Wars, and his life, what he's going to do with Skywalker Ranch and everything else. But he works every day. He's tireless, so there'll be a time,
And one final Star Wars question. You guys registered this Star Wars 1313 domain recently. What is that all about?